I'm here to talk a little bit about Accor and what we have been going through, not only because of the COVID, but a little bit before that, when it's about people experience and employee experience. So I'd like to share with you what happened to us, what is happening to us, and how that is supporting us during this crisis, COVID or whatever that we are all so familiar with. I'm responsible for cultural transformation. And at Accor, that means that, anyway, I'm going to present these slides and you're going to see. The focus of our presentation today is about people. It's about how do we put people first in everything that we do and how we create a culture based on that. Uh, Much better, how we transform a culture to become a people-centric, and how that helped us and is helping us during this crisis. So I'm going to tell you a little story because I need to give you a little of context. What happened to Accor a few years ago, and a few years ago, if you all remember well, we had a lot of new players coming up in the hospitality industry. So out of nowhere, we started having people renting their houses. We had tools that was 100% digital that made reservations inside the hotel completely different. So there were some players that started in the hospitality business that completely shift the way we saw and the way we believed it was the business model, let's put it like that, uh, for uh, for hospitality. And for a company as big as Accor, we knew after a while, and we tried before some things that didn't work, but we knew that after a while we could no longer compete with those players because I mean we're talking about a robust, strong company with more than 4,000 hotels around the world in 92 countries competing with a digital platform where the power of it was not in the equipment and something physical, was in the service and in the digital service, to be more exact. So we knew we could no longer compete with that. And we said, okay, what can we do? What is our strength into all this? What are we good at? And what do we have that neither Airbnb or Booking or Expedia or all those players, they don't? What can we do? And thinking about it, we, of course, we got to the conclusions that we have our people and we are able to deliver a different experience inside the hotel. Because even for the most effort that Airbnb can do or Booking can do or Expedia can do, they don't have the guests in front of them. They don't have the contact people to people. The company I'm talking about, huh? So they don't control that because this is not their core business. And that is our core business. This is what made Accor. So having that in mind, we said, okay, but what can we do? What that means? What do people want? What do we have to focus? So instead of coming to that conclusion in a COMEX perspective and in a top-down perspective, we did some workshops around the world. So we interviewed more than 250 people around the world from different job positions, from different countries, different hotels, different brands. And we started asking them, all our employees, our colleagues, for them, what do people want? What do they want? When they wake up in the morning, why they come to work at Accor? And with all different questions, but we started understanding what they valued, what they wanted to be, why they felt so proud to work at Accor, and how did they see Accor in the future. And based on all the answers that we got throughout more than 9 workshops, so it was like very rich experience to hear and to exchange with them their future of the company, we got to what we call today Accor DNA. Yeah, I'm gonna go there, but let me show it to you. Accor DNA. And the power of this DNA was that we understood after talking to them that if we wanted our guests to have a different experience, if we wanted our guests to understand the power of being at Accor and that our service was different than everybody else, we needed to focus on the employee. We needed to focus on who were serving them because we could no longer simply tell them, okay, you have to say A or B, or this is your script. When a guest arrives, this is what you have to tell them, because that would be no longer enough for the guest. So we did a step back and we said, okay, what does our employee want? The person is standing in the reception inside the hotel. What do they value? What do they want? They want to feel valued, free, sparked, and one. And this is what came out from the workshop. They told us that. They told that they want to feel valued by the company. They want to feel free to be themselves in the company. They needed to feel motivated, sparked to work, free to do whatever they want, free to be able to deliver the desired guest experience they wanted. And they wanted to belong. They wanted to be a part of this company and feel that they are contributing to something bigger. That's what they answered on in the workshop. And then what we said was, if we manage to do that, then they will transform their way of being. They will transform the way they behave to be able to deliver what we believe is the desired guest experience. Because for us, what they arrive in our hotel is to feel welcome, to feel heartwarmed, to feel incredible, and to feel that they belong also to that community that we are creating. So for the first time, we had a clear vision that in order to achieve the guest satisfaction that we wanted, because it was just more than them being satisfied, was them being like overwhelmed, heartwarmed, like having an extraordinary experience. We needed to focus in the employee first. We needed to transform the way we worked in order for them to feel powerful enough to deliver what we expected them to do. So this is what we understood. This took us more or less 3 years, 2 years and a half to implement, because when we decided that, we said, okay, so what? What do we do with this information? Because this is so nice, this is so cute on the paper, but how do we actually make people feel all this? So let me put it the slides. So we came up with what we call today, and it became like the brand of Accor, that we are all artists. So we created all this way of being that we believe our employees should feel and should experience. Focus on the employees, meaning we are all artists. That means that we put people first in everything that we do. Instead of focusing on what we call the process, we focus on the connection with the person. And that changes, that could be in a very small level, and that could be in the highest level possible. For example, instead of when a guest arriving to our hotel, we demand, are you here checking in? We go a level beyond and we ask about them first. What happened to you? How was your trip? The first time in Paris? Is it sunny over there? So we engage into a relationship with the guest first, and the process will follow, because then the guest will feel that we value him too, and that he is more important than the number or the reservation itself. So that's what we are at Accor. We are all artists. Let me see, because I have to follow slides. We develop a credo that says that we care for the world. We care to make the world a better place by welcoming people, and we dare to be ourselves. Because I don't know if you understand the impact of that. Hospitality industry, for those, of course, uh, when you stay in a hotel, and uh, long before, the hospitality business was known, the synonym of quality, it's process, it's standardization. We felt okay if we knew what we were, what we expected inside a hotel. So having the standards was a synonym of quality. And now what we are telling them is that, you know what? Be yourself. If you feel like saying this, say this. If you feel like doing that, do it. If you feel that the guest wants that, go ahead and do it. So we kind of shifted really the mindset of the people. So that's what we wanted to do, actually. We wanted to shift the mindset of the people. We want to tell them that it was okay to be themselves. And that's huge, because it's more than a company culture. It talks about the individual. It talks about you have to accept yourself first, so you are free to be yourself externally. Because of that, we created an entire program, which was not training, it was more of a journey, focusing in that work of emotional intelligence and self-awareness, so that people could actually understand what that means, understand themselves, and understand what all these meant, what it means to be myself, what it means to be free to do whatever I want based on what I believe the guest wants. So we created a journey, it more or less a year to deploy, which was based on the train the trainer. So we had people all over the world that were formed in this content, in this journey, that would do a little cascade effect throughout all our hotels. And we were together talking about emotional intelligence, about understanding your fears, about understanding your values, about value the differences, about value who you are, about understanding what the others want, about empathy, about compassion, all these subjects that for a long time, nobody talked that in a workplace. And we started bringing that up to our daily basis to make people understand the value of other people. So the good thing, so this took a while because it was a really change of mindset. You cannot do that in a click. So it took a while, but we made it. And the good thing about that is that we created a level of trust inside the company that we never had before. Because when you feel comfortable enough to be yourself, that means that you feel comfortable enough around you. You feel comfortable enough with your leader because they know that you're trying, they know that you're putting yourself out there, they know that you're being vulnerable, and vice versa. But also a level of trust in you by saying, I know what I want to do, I know who I am, and I feel okay with it. So this level of trust is crucial for what happened after, which is, we all know, during the crisis. I have a question here. What are the main changes? I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to COVID. Then let me skip here. This is just to give you guys an overview that everything that we did. So we started this transformation 3 years ago. And after 1 year, we already had more than 75% of the hotels on board. And this year we did the analysis based on, so 3 years after, we did the analysis based on the increase of the guest satisfaction versus the employee satisfaction. And we have a 5.5% increase of our NPS. So not on the global NPS, but in the 910 range of lovers and fans and those who are completely attached to the brand. So this was huge because for the first time we actually could show that if we engage people, we had a financial result. We had a KPI to follow and a return of investment. So this is just to give you an overview. What it is the key motivation for artists to use the Credo today? Well, it's very personal that because the Credo goes to what every single person values. It's not about the company anymore, it's about yourself. So what do you value? Every single person, every single one of us want to feel free, want to feel value, want to be recognized, want to feel motivated to go to work. So when we presented this, when we talk to them saying, you can be yourself, this is freedom. You go to a workplace and you don't have to think about what kind of persona you are. You don't have to think about, oh my God, I have to make sure that I don't say that. That you're just free to be who you are. This is freedom. So people accept this Credo not because as a company, but for themselves. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel relief. It makes you feel creative. So of course, we have levels of it. Uh, we don't push people to be the same thing because we accept that every single one of us have our level of freedom or our level of vulnerability that we are able to show. Yes, so I mentioned about the financial impact. Actually, in a hotel business, we measure a lot the guest satisfaction. Because at Accor, we have a range of, I don't know how long I have, but we have a range of of people coming back. So if we manage to have a second stay on the guest, that is like 50-70% of our revenue in the individual guest. So when we managed to prove the guest satisfaction, we made a correlation statistic. I don't know all the numbers because I'm not that expert. That means that those who increase their satisfaction were more likely to come back. So we're more likely to bring X of revenue. I don't have all that analysis here, but I can share with you afterwards, Agatha. I can share with you that afterwards. And then also another analysis, but this is not, we don't finish it yet because it's ongoing. It's based on the turnover. Because when we had an increase in the employee satisfaction, that has a direct impact on the turnover, which I don't know if you know it, it's like 50% in the hospitality business in general. So this is also something that we are working on, because when we talk about owners and we talk about keeping the cost that it takes to onboard a new person, we have a lot to do to keep them with us and reduce the turnover. So all these analyses I can share with you afterwards, but I don't have all the numbers with me right now. Sorry. Then let me see what I have. Then we enter into the COVID crisis. So we were going well. Hearties was going on in all the hotels. More and more hotels were participating in the journey. We had like 2-3 waves of content and of workshops with them. And then we were hit with the COVID. And as you know, we were hit hard. Traveling stops, event stops. People could no longer travel internationally. Even when it opened, it wasn't open at big. So you all seen, it's on the news, everything that is happening, especially because we are very transparent what happens to Accor during this period. So it was tough. It was tough. But it was also a moment that we ask again ourselves, what do people want? So when we are in the people-centric approach, we always have to keep putting ourselves back, saying, what do people want? What is important for us? We have our people first. So what should we do? And in that period, what people want was to be safe. Not only our guests, of course, our employees, they want to feel safe, either financially, either physically, either mentally, whatever. They want to feel safe. So all the strategy that were behind that was implemented in the company for the guest and for us employees was with this mindset. What can we do to make people feel safe? Uh, of course, we had to do that with 2 words in mind. I'm not here to say that we are not a non-profit organization. We cannot just say, we just want people to be safe without thinking about the business. So we had the business prospect and the people prospect, and how could we make these two work? Then, in the beginning, what happened was we did not know the impact of it. So Italy started, and then China started, and then in the beginning, everybody thought it was just China, and then we had Italy and Europe, and things were getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and hotels were starting to close. And everybody was like, what is going on? What will happen? And as responsible for the artist culture, I was like, what can we do? How can we know what they want? How can we support them? And I don't know if you saw that on the media, but this was more or less around April. We had our hotels, every single hotel that was closing, suddenly they started doing hearts in their windows. This was it was not organized or demand or requested or whatsoever. So we saw that people were so much engaged and touched by what was happening, so part of the company, that they wanted to send each other signs to say, we are there for you. So it started in Milano. The first hotel who did that was Novotel Milano Airport. They did that, and you're like, oh, that is so nice. And then another hotel said, hey, Milano, I'm with you. And they did that too. And they did that too. In 1 week, we had 300 hotels all around the world doing that. And after a while, I stopped counting because it became too much. And since it was not coordinated, I couldn't follow how many hotels we had. I managed to follow in the first week. But that showed us how powerful our connection and our sense of belonging how we had that inside hotels, how people felt that, and how people trusted that where the trust come back again, how people trusted that we would that would be better, things would be better. So this is just to show you how the consequence of a people-centric approach start helping us during the crisis. We had some focus. So we had three publics. So we had the guests to take care of, we had the employees, and inside the employees, we had the leaders, because of course we cannot treat, not that we cannot treat everybody the same, but when you have a team, when you're a leader inside a company, you have even more responsibility during this crisis than the employees, because not only you are scared, you want to feel safe, you have all the things going on in your own mind, in your own life, you need to pass it on a message. So we needed to take care of these people differently. And our focus was, uh, of course, the three ones. We want to the safety of them, how we keep them safe during all this craziness, how we reassure them that the things were being taken care of, and whatever decision we were making, that was the best decisions for the moment, and how we give them support, whatever they were needing, how can we support them? Because during a crisis like that, the needs go in a completely, I mean, we don't have a script anymore. We don't know. Every single month is new. Every single week, there was time that every single week things were new. So how we kept these three groups and these three objectives guaranteed every single time. Um, that's where trust come back again. Like I said, when you face something as big, you I mean, either you do that because you have no choice, or you just lose faith. Luckily for us, people are so engaged to us already as a company, so engaged to each other morally, that it became much easier to pass it on something. Because you probably for those of you who have teams and work in big companies, you know that top down is tough, especially in a moment that people are stressful, people are not feeling themselves, people are scared. To tell them to do something for the company, it's hard. It's really hard, because I mean, you don't know how they're going to react, you don't know how they're going to see, you don't know if they are going to implement what you want them to implement, if they're going to understand why you're doing this. So it's tough. But when you have trust as a base, things become much more easier. And as you probably have followed through the news, also we implemented a lot of things, a lot of hard things inside our hotels, a lot of procedures that we needed people to understand the power of it and to play their role correctly in order for this to work. So what we had was, these are, I put it there as themes so I can remember to discuss. So in the economic situation, we had a key about, okay, how can we keep the business going? So we had a lot of hotels closing, but some of the hotels felt uh, comfortable enough to transform their business for a while. So I don't know if you guys had followed it. We had hotels who, in Amsterdam, some hotels opened rooms, so they did all the safety procedures, and their rooms became uh, dinner places. So you could go to the hotel, have dinner there, everything digital. So they had like cameras, you could see the chef producing stuff, and you could actually have dinner there or lunch, whatever, in a very safe environment. In Latin America, for example, they transformed the hotels into office. I mean, now some of countries in Europe are doing that. So they were a little bit free to test and see, okay, what can we do? What can we do to help this economic situation? We had a huge, you also saw that, safety and health procedures. We partnered with experts, not only experts in uh, assurance for the guests. So if everything goes on with the guests, we have assurance, like health support for all of them, but also the procedures that we implemented inside the hotels. How can we guarantee that we are doing everything that we can to guarantee the safety and the health of our staff and our guests? And when I say that, I'm going to put a big emphasis on that, because it's it is not easy. I mean, we are talking about, you all know that, huh? We have, after the crisis is still there, but after living with the crisis, we know that cleaning stuff every hour is not that easy. Having hygienization every single time in the receptions, and glasses and masks and everything, transforms the day of the hotel, transforms on what we for so long considered our business. So we had more than 13 new procedures for every single department, for every single job. So we are able to guarantee, based on the high standard levels, the safety of everybody. And again, coming back, how could we assure our leaders so they could assure their teams in the moment of unknown? Uh, Let me pass it on. So these, I wrote down 4 of the key changes. There was not only those, but for me was the 4 of the key elements that we did uh, to answer to all that. The first one, we focus on the reopenings. So a lot of the hotels were closing, but they were, I mean, I'm talking about, so when we had April and May, a lot of them closed. And then we said, okay, they're going to open one time. Okay, it's going to happen. They're going to come back. What do they need when they're back on business? How can we support them to reopen? How can we support the employees? How can we support the owners? How can we support the general manager? What can we do to support the reopening? So it was a lot about different trainings. It was all about being able to have, for example, the all safe label ready. So when they wanted to reopen, everybody was trained, all the procedures were implemented, everybody was certified into the all safe label to be able to guarantee the guests, to welcome the guests. So we had all this strategy on reopenings to support every single hotel and every single brand, which was kind of crazy because we have hotels opening almost every week. So, but it was something that was needed, and we saw the value for them when it opened. You also saw during the news, I believe, the heart is found, because again, if we go back to the people, you cannot ask people to go back to work or to be engaged with the company if they're, for example, going through financial issues. So the heart is found was there because in a lot of companies where the government did not help uh, the people, so either because when we had the close down of the hotels, a lot of people were temporarily let go. I don't know how to say that in English. In French is activité partielle. So they were temporarily unemployed. And in some countries, the government helped, but some other countries, they had no help at all. So the Heart is Found was there to actually give support for this period of time for those people that, for this, when the hotel were closing, so they were unemployed for a period, they could still have financial support to help their family, or for example, to go to a healthcare, because some of them got sick, and in some countries you have to pay for healthcare. So we supported them on that. So it was like, it was a fund dedicated only for our employees, so that I remember Bazan, when he launched, he said something that really caught my heart, was like, nobody from our company are gonna suffer because they cannot pay health insurance, are gonna suffer because they cannot pay a doctor. We are going to guarantee that. So there's this international structure that will put into place to distribute that money, to distribute that throughout the import, to evaluate, of course, the level of needs, so there will be more for more people, and to support them financially in this moment of need. The other one, it's about the Lng Digital Strategy, because we talked a lot about how people were trained into the all safe, how different procedures were implemented. All these were done digitally. So in 3 months, we put together an entire Lng digital platform and support. Lng, for those who doesn't know, is learning and development. So different trainings. We managed to digitalize all our trainings to give access to all the employees all around the world so they're able to train. So this is something that also personally, I never thought the amount of work that that meant, because we're talking about translations, we're talking about digital access, we're talking about internet connection, we're talking about availability of people. All of this to be put into place in a sense of urge. Because if we wanted to the hotels to reopen, if you wanted people to feel safe, to feel okay, they needed to go through these trainings and need to be fast. One just how can I say, one curiosity about the Lng Digital Strategy, because I'm not talking only about training regarding the procedures, but I'm also talking about virtual workshops to talk about emotional intelligence, open spaces for them to share how they're thinking and what they're going through and their feelings and so on. We're talking about a artist support with what it means to continue to be a artist in a moment of crisis, how they can still deliver that experience that they want to, even though they have the mask, even though they have the glass, even though they have tons and tons and tons of constraints in order to achieve that. So this was all put into place and is still alive in this digital Lng strategy. And last but not least, you also probably saw that on the news, we are reorganizing. We are reorganizing our structure. We're reorganizing the regions and the hubs to be able to offer a better service in the end. So to be more linked to what the guests want in the service provider way than to be that big structure company that takes too long to make a decision or takes too long to answer to a guest need. Let me see. So if we keep putting ourselves that question, what do people want? So people during the big crisis, people want to be safe. Now, if in this moment, because let's just say not the crisis is back, but the stress of the discovery of the unknown, it's slowing down. Okay, now we are more or less dealing with what we more or less know. So we ask ourselves that question again: what do people want? And people want to be seen. They want to be recognized as such. Why? Why I tell you that? Because we know that all the decisions and everything that is being done is not going to please everybody. It's not going to be something that everybody will be satisfied and everybody will feel comfortable with it. But more than that, more than doing what you believe individually that we should do to you, you want us to understand that if you're not happy, we see you. We know that you're not happy. But what can we do for you? How can we be true to you, who you are? How can I be true to who I am, even if the decision that it's been done is not what I wanted to be done? Oh, already finished? Because in this moment when we have all this reorg, when we have some decisions that are being taken care that can impact people's lives, what we keep into place saying, okay, how can we do that? And how can we still see the employee? How can we still value them? How can we still, just until the end, if there's an end, we can value those who stays or you can value those who left? Because it's not always to please everybody, but to respect everybody as a person. Is to recognize that everybody behind that comes with fears and come with strength and weakness, and we need to see them. We need to value them for that. So we have a lot of discussions right now. So we implemented a lot of virtual calls with different leaders that we talk about resilience. We talk about finding the purpose, because when you find your purpose, it's no longer about where you work, but what you want. And if that work fits what you want, great. But if you don't have that job tomorrow, what can you still do because you know what you want? So it's to value more and more the people and to make them know that we see them and we are there for them as a person, much more than as a number in our Excel sheet, more or less. More or less. I have no clue whatsoever about timing. Philip, if you can let me know if I'm good, if I now it's time for questions, or what can I do? because that's more or less it that I had prepared to present to you.
2 or 3 minutes
Um,
presentation, if
I
so.
don't know. Ah, sorry, what? Oh, okay, somebody's it's
Yes, you can still have 2 or 3 minutes if you want to continue your presentation. So we are in time.
okay, good, good. Hello, Matek. Nice to see that you're here.
Okay, can you please proceed? It's time for questions now.
Yeah, I see that there's somebody writing, so I'm waiting to see if there's a question or
No, in
how
general,
did you
we are gathering the questions in the chat, and
Okay.
after the end of your presentation, we will ask you to more or less answer some of them.
Oh, okay, so I'm done with my presentation, so I'm ready for
That's right.
the question. Yeah.
That's right.
So how did you convince the organization to let go some control and let your team do what they feel is right? Yeah, that's a very, very, very good question. Um, First of all, this was not done top down. So what we did was we were a little bit rebel on that one. We first went to the regions. So we were very, very small department who more or less got a white card. I don't know how to say it, like a white board and say, go do what you want. So people were not really, we had freedom and nobody was actually checking on what we were doing. So we were really rebels and by ourselves to do it so. And that's when we did the workshops. So we went in different regions. We collected their answers. We collected their vision of what they believed it was a core. They believe it was their motivation and what you guys saw as the Accor DNA. So we collected all that, and we developed all the program. And then we presented that to the board and said, okay, that's nice, that's nice. How are you going to do it? Let us do it. So we did not present it that much. We just presented what we did. Let us do it. We did 100% bottom up. So we went in a volunteer basis. We traveled the regions presenting our idea, and we invited people to be volunteers at what we called super transformers, which is more or less okay, would you like to be the person in your region to spread this new culture, to help us transform the culture of the company? And in that volunteer basis, we had 160 people around the world. This was on top of their job. So this was not official. This was on top of their job. And we trained those persons. So during 1 year, 1 year and a half, everything was like train the trainer perspective. So we talked with this community. They were responsible to get this knowledge and transfer to their community in their region, and that community transferred to the hotels. It was really a, a bottom up approach. After more or less 6 months, we had we had some hotels, because then you can see the difference right inside teams talk. So you could see a difference from one hotel to another. You can see, for example, in the same city, one guest in the comments valuing a behavior or something that this hotel did different for him. And you could see people start seeing that something was going on in those hotels, and they start asking questions. What is going on? What's going on? So when that became big, the fuzz, like we call that, it's not a good thing, but at the time we call that a kind of a virus. But when this became huge, that's where we went. We had more or less 600 hotels on board in a volunteer basis when we definitely went to to the Comex. And when we were in the Comex, what we did was everything we made the hotels go through. So the training or the journey or the experience, we made the Comex go through. Instead of just telling them what we did, we said, you know what, we're going to make you understand what we want. And then we did all this training journey that was more about experiencing, about self-awareness and emotional intelligence to our comex. And then our comex said, now I get it. And that's how that became official. That's how it became a department. That's how that became a structure. And it became like something, how you call it, accepted and part of the company, not a rebel anymore. Will
Okay.
Accor
We
be
have
a
also
hotel
one
company?
question.
Yeah.
So after this transformation you describe, what are the key decision factors for project in Accor? Are the client-centric metrics there? So how do you prioritize what is to be done in the more or less client and human-centric key?
Well, I cannot answer to all about all the company because I'm in the cultural transformation. So yes, have a lot of client centric metrics. Our main direction is the client centric approach, because when I say people centric approach, it's about the employee and the guest satisfaction. It's the both, because we believe both are linked. So we have a lot of metrics that shows that link. For example, you have seen 1 year ago, more or less, when we launched the all program, the loyalty program, not even the program, but we transferred the the brand of how we put ourselves to the customer was all no longer a core. This is the part of the strategy in people centric approach, in the guest centric approach. Is about the guest experience first, and everything turns around that. So it's so there's a lot of metrics. There's a lot, but it's focused on the human experience in both sides. Uh, how do you prioritize to be done? It's on that. So everything that has its priority, is linked to that experience. So if you take a look, for example, how the new organization is being reorganized, it's about a core store, it's all about the guest points of interaction. Let's put it like that. That's our focus. That's what we're gonna see. So if you talk about the website, is about the experience that the guests will have. If we talk about recruitment, it's about those who have the soft skills to be able to adapt on the guest experience. If you talk about product, is about how to make it more adaptable to different needs. So everything is attached to the people experience. Let's put it like that. Then into the product structure. I don't know if I was clear, because I know that you all designs and product designs and stuff, but there's an entire strategy. I recommend you take a look if you haven't seen it, in what I call all strategy, and how that is translated into the guest perspective, because everything is based on that.
Mariana, thank you very much for your time, and it was a true pleasure to hosting you here in Bydgoszcz, even virtually. So once again, thank you very much, and hope to see you in real pretty soon.
Oh, you guys are going to Rio?
No, I mean maybe in the second year or so.
Ah, okay. Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure. If you have any questions, you can contact me. I put my LinkedIn there, or I'm free to answer more and to share more.
Okay, thank you very much for that.